Hello, welcome to our live video. My name's Jessica. I'm one of the singer ambassadors, and this is our little monthly sew-along. I'm so excited to be here. We have some people joining. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm back for another sew-along, and I'm so excited. What is this cute thing behind me, you ask? Well, today we're going to be making these shorts. How cute are these for summertime? They're just some like kind of fitted shorts, but they also have an elastic waistband and some pockets. Who doesn't love some pockets? Everything needs pockets, right? Yes. So this is what we're going to be making today. And this whole outfit I actually drafted myself. And it's going to be going up on my YouTube channel tomorrow. So if you want to know how to draft this pattern at home, then go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jessica Shaw, and I'm going to be posting tomorrow just how I drafted this pattern. I drafted the shorts using some shorts that I already owned, which is one of my favorite ways to draft shorts because shorts and pants are kind of hard to fit to a human body. So unless you're like an expert pattern maker, my favorite way is just tracing something that I already own. And then you could, of course, make changes to it. You could add pockets, you could make it fit different, you could make it shorter or longer. And yeah, so that's the story on the shorts. And then the shirt, look at this. I just have to brag about this shirt a little bit. It's not perfect, and it was kind of accidental, but I made this the other day. I kind of like quickly drafted it and I was like, well, let's see how it turned out. And it turned out so cute. So I'm going to be making this outfit in like every color, in every fabric and pattern this summer. But today I'm going to show you how to make the shorts. I'm so excited you guys are here. Where's everyone joining from? Will the shirt be on there too? No, I don't have time to show you how I made the shirt. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jessica Shaw, I'm posting a video tomorrow and it'll be all about how I drafted this shirt at home. It's really simple and it's honestly not perfect. If there are any expert pattern makers watching this, you'll probably notice that it's not perfect. Well, I put some pins in the sleeves, or the straps, but let me show you. The straps are like too big and they weren't angled correctly, so I'm gonna need to like seam rip those off. But I'm going to show that whole process in the video that I post tomorrow. So subscribe to my channel and you can see how I do that. Anyway, okay, that was my introduction. Who's ready to make some shorts? Okay, so let me first explain the supplies that you're going to need. Super easy. You can either just use a store-bought pattern, your favorite store-bought pattern. Usually shorts are really, really simple. It's just like a very simple shape, or you can draft it at home. So I drafted this out of some shorts that I already owned. So I have two pieces for the front, classic, looks like shorts. And then I have two pieces for the back. Now the back and the front look a little bit different. The back of the shorts, if you notice, they're a little bit more like curved because on it, like obviously there's body parts that you need to fit in the back. So they're just a little bit different shape. But whenever I make shorts, I always, because I always like mix pieces up all the time. I always take some tailor's chalk and I make, well, I wrote that with a pen, but the tailor's chalk, I always put like a little B on the back side. And then I also wrote R for right, and then I wrote L for left. Just so that I don't mix the pieces up today, because that would be so embarrassing. Because I do it all the time. I end up with like one pant leg that's like right side out, and then the other pant leg is inside out. So we don't want that to happen on a live. That would be so embarrassing. Okay, so we have our shorts pieces, and then we have 4 little pocket pieces. Just your classic pocket, and all you do to draft these, you literally just lay your hand out and you just like draw a little circle-y shape and then just a 90-degree angle to sew down the side seam, because these are going to go just on the side seam, which I think are the easiest pockets you can possibly do. And then the other piece that we're gonna need is the waistband. So I have 2 pieces for my waistband, one for the front and one for the back. And I'm using this like vintage floral cotton fabric, and I think it's so cute. And I have enough fabric, so I'm definitely gonna make a matching top. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And last but not least, you're gonna need some elastic. So this is 2-inch elastic. I just always prefer a thicker waistband on my shorts. So I did 2 inches for this, but you can definitely do an inch waistband or an 1.5 inches, whatever you want. So if you do that, definitely make your waistband pattern accordingly. Because obviously this waistband is gonna eventually be folded in half, just like that. And it's gonna go all the way across the shorts, which is the perfect amount to fit this elastic with seam allowance, a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so that's all you need to know. So let's talk about the machines that we're gonna be using today. We are going to be using my Quantum Stylist 9960, my favorite machine. This was the second Singer machine I ever owned, and it was like the perfect step up from just like a really simple beginner sewing machine. I had a Singer Talent, and it was amazing to learn on. And then the Singer Quantum Stylist was just a next step up. I'll talk more about it later and all of its different functions, but I'm also using my Singer Stylist Serger. So obviously, as we know, sewing is a combination of constructing a garment as well as finishing the edges. They're equally as important, especially if you want to make professional finishes. So a serger was just like what I needed to really bump up my sewing to the next level, so I'm able to, you know, finish my edges with a serged edge. But if you don't have a serger, you can always just use a zigzag stitch, you can use an overcast stitch, or pinking shears, the little zigzag scissors, if you want to do that. And that can also finish edges, but a serger really just makes it so much easier and looks really, really professional. So before this live, I went ahead and prepped some of the pieces, and I serged around the edges of all of the pockets just to save time. And then I also serged all of my edges of not all of the edges. I serged the side seam of the legs and then the inseam of the legs. So I'm going to show you how I serge this crotch seam, because serging a curve is always, you know, not a challenge, but it's not as easy as sewing a straight line. So, okay, I've been talking way too long. Let's just get into this tutorial. Is there anyone who's following along? I would love to know if you're actually sewing along with me. And at the end, if we have time, this is the last thing I'll say, I'm going to show you how to do a little blind hem, which I did on this scrap piece of fabric, and I used like not a matching color just so you could see it, but a blind hem is just a really nice professional finish. So if we have time, I'm going to do a blind hem because it's super easy. And it's going to be so much fun. Someone said you can't hear me. Oh no, can everyone hear me? Okay, wow. Okay, can everyone hear me? Just give me a little thumbs up if you can hear me. Also, I'm going to be using this Singer Steamcraft iron, which is the cutest thing I've ever seen. It's pink, and it is just a game changer. I'll show you a little bit more once it's in action. Okay, thank you, Holland. You guys can hear me. Okay, so I'm gonna move my camera a little bit so we can see the shorts. These are gonna be so simple to construct. We're gonna literally attach the pockets and the shorts with like one simple step. Okay, so first we need to find our pieces. So we have the back left leg. We have the back right leg. So we're gonna lay those out. And then we have the front right leg. Okay, we're just gonna start with the right leg. That's what we're gonna do. So I have my, okay, so I have my back right leg. The crotch seam is facing inward. You know what? Nope. We need to put it right side facing up. Okay, so the crotch seam is facing outward. And then I'm gonna put my front right leg down. Again, the crotch seam is facing that way. So you wanna make sure, if your hands are the pattern, it should be like this. Just make sure you have the right pieces down because it's detrimental if you don't. Also, I put a little mark on the top edge of the pocket, just so we know which one is the top and which one is the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and place these pockets 3 inches down. I think that's a perfect length for like just the natural place where your hands will be. So I'm gonna place that down, 3 inches down. Let's use, this table has a little measurement grid, so I'm just doing 1, 2, 3, and that's where the pocket will start. I'm gonna do the same thing for the other leg. Should be 1, 2, 3, and that's where the pocket will start. It's very important that your pockets match up on both sides because they're gonna be connected in a minute, so you wanna match those up at the perfect place. Okay. But I'll also mention that this project I think is really helpful just as a beginner intermediate sewer because obviously attaching pockets is super, important to learn. You can put pockets on a dress, you can put pockets on a skirt, pants, really just anything. But also this can translate into like if you want to make boxer shorts or if you want to make baby clothes, this would be the cutest baby outfit. It would be the cutest baby outfit. And also we're going to attach the waistband later, which is really, basically it's the same exact concept as if you were attaching like a sleeve cuff or like a binding along a neckline. Just, it would be like obviously tiny, but it's the same concept. So once you just learn the basic concept, you can pretty much apply it to everything. Okay, so now I got those pinned down. So all I'm gonna do is sew just along where the pocket and the shorts meet. So it's that whole like 5 or 6 inches. And we're just gonna sew that with a simple straight stitch. So we're coming over here to the Quantum Stylist. And oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and lower the presser foot. And I'm sewing everything at 1/2 inch seam allowance. That's my favorite seam allowance to use, especially if I draft my own patterns. 5/8 of an inch is pretty standard for like store-bought patterns, but I find 1/2 inch to be the easiest to understand. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew that little baby on there. We're just using a simple straight stitch, so we always want to start and end with a back stitch. So I'm going to do 3 stitches forward, hit this little reverse button, go reverse about 3 stitches, and then we're just going to zoom all the way down. Taking my pins out as I go. And we're going to end with another back stitch, 3 or 4 stitches. And my favorite thing, one of my favorite things about the Quantum Stylist is this little cutter thing, thread cutter. So you just hit this button. It not only like raises the needle up, so you don't need to do that, but it also cuts the thread. So it's perfectly cut. You're ready to move on. There's always a tail at the beginning, so you always need to trim that, but that's one less step. And wow, we love convenient. Okay, I'm just gonna do the other ones real quick. Does anyone else out there have a Quantum Stylist? Or what machine do you have? I would love to know. This machine is like super quiet too, which I really like. And it's just smooth. Like, I always feel like I'm waking up the whole house when I'm sewing, you know, when I sew late at night, but never with this one because it's so quiet. All right, I'm gonna cut that thread and we're moving on. Now I'm gonna do the other pant leg the exact same way. And then we're literally almost done with these shorts somehow. Well, there's like 2 more steps. Someone is speaking Portuguese. I don't understand Portuguese, but I wish I did. Okay, so I'm laying this is my left leg, the front side down, and now the back side. And they're right sides up. Most things in sewing are sewn right sides together. So you never have to think, do I sew it right side together? Do I sew it wrong side? There are some things that are sewn wrong sides together, but there's not many. So again, I'm measuring 3 inches down. 1, 2, 3. That's where the pocket will start. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. These will match up perfectly. And I'm just going to put a couple pins in. Kathleen sews with a few brothers' machines, but looking at getting a Singer. Get a Singer. They are incredible. Which Singer would you get? I would recommend the Quantum Stylist, but I just love it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and sew these pockets on. If you're just joining, we are making these elastic waistband shorts. Very simple. They have a little pocket on the side seam, and they're really, really easy. A perfect summer staple. Oh, someone asked what we're making. Sorry, I left you hanging. We are making some shorts. Just some summer shorts. Okay. Can you see this? No, you can't. Also, on the side here, we have all of the utility stitches that most people commonly use. So I just have it set to this one, the second one down, which is where the needle is right in the middle. But this one will move the needle to the left, which is helpful when you're doing like top stitching or you want to get really close to the edge. You'll use that one, which I think is really, really helpful. We also have the next one down, which starts and ends with a back stitch. So that's just like one less step. We have a zigzag stitch. We have this blind hem stitch, which is what we're going to use later. And then we have this, what is that called? What is that called? That one, that's like a lightning bolt. It's for stretchy fabrics. And then we have an overcast stitch and a buttonhole stitch. So all of the ones that you most commonly use are right here, which is really convenient. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew this now. Can you hear how quiet this machine is? It's insane. When I used to make tutorials using other machines, I would have to completely stop talking while I sewed, but now I can just talk the whole time. That's why these videos end up being an hour long. Okay, I'm gonna do my last one and then we're moving on. Okay, I'm gonna cut my thread, lift my presser foot, and it's done. Now we can actually put these shorts together in like one step. Crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna put my left Okay, what am I gonna do? So if we think about it, let's think about this. We're trying to attach them at the side seam right now and the inseam. So if you think about it, the front right leg connects with the front right leg connects with the back right leg at the side seam. So just make sure you have your front back and your front, what am I saying right now? Front right and back right together, because that's where this whole thing will go wrong if you don't have those together. But I'm also gonna wake my iron up. There we go. The green light means that it's ready to use. Side note, this little iron like automatically shuts off after 30 minutes if you don't use it. 30 minutes? Yeah. So that's good if you don't want to burn the house down, or if you're just multitasking. You always want to, never leave your iron unattended, but also if you do, by chance, it will shut off after 30 minutes. But definitely unplug it. Don't ever leave your iron unattended. Yes, it is a beautiful iron. It's the Singer Steamcraft iron. It has this little pointed tip, which is amazing. Oh gosh. For like hard to reach places and getting corners and sewing cuffs, or like it's really easy when you're sewing darts and things or pressing darts. Makes it really simple. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is bring this pocket out to where it's right side's facing up, and I'm just going to press it. Press that little seam here. Pressing is a crucial part of the sewing process. It's something that you rarely want to skip, because that will make the most professional looking seams, and it makes the whole sewing process so much easier. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing for this one, for the what is this? I'm getting mixed up already. I told you I do this every time. Okay, this is the front left leg and the back left leg. We are going to attach them now. So I'm going to place them right sides together. And when you're drafting the pattern, you always want to make sure the side seam is the exact same length, and also the inseam. The back usually extends a lot further than the front because you need a little more room in the back. But if you pull it over, it should be the exact same length. So we're just going to match those up and pin them down. Also, something cool about this iron is it has like a really good steam function. So if you hold it vertically and you need to like steam, like delicate fabric, like a dress that's hanging up or anything like that, and you don't actually want to like apply pressure to the garment, you can have it hanging up and you just like hold it and you press this little steam button and it releases steam, and it will steam your garments as they're like vertical. And that's pretty cool because I've been thinking about getting a steamer, in case I ever need a steamer. But now that I have this, I'm like, that's just a really cool function. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pinning down the side seam, around the pocket, and down the rest of the side seam. And of course, they should match up perfectly. And we're about to sew a little curve, so that's always fun. So I'm just pinning. I'm a big pinner. I love to pin as I go. I think it makes everything so much easier. So once we sew this and then down the side seam, we're gonna have one whole leg done. Meg Rose. Wow, I'm so excited you're gonna get one. They have them in so many different colors too, and they're adorable. Okay, so I have it pinned down the side, and then on the, right here. And then on the inseam, I'm just gonna pull this right this front leg over and match it up with the inseam of the back leg, and I'm just gonna pin that down. And then we're gonna have our whole pant leg done. So now I'm just gonna sew a simple straight stitch. Kathleen, I'm so excited you want to do pockets. I know when I first started sewing, I was so intimidated by pockets. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. But then I learned the side seam pockets, which are probably one of the easiest pockets you can do. So they're really, really simple. So don't be intimidated by them. Okay, I'm just going to sew down the side seam around the pocket and then pivot and go down the rest of the side seam. And then I'm gonna do this little inseam. So here we go. I still have my stitch on a straight stitch. Okay, here we go. And I'm sewing everything at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Obviously check whatever seam allowance your pattern calls for. A lot of store-bought ones call for 5/8 of an inch. But I always make mine with 1/2 inch. Okay, so when we get to a point where we need to pivot, like for this pocket, make sure the needle is as low as it will go. And if it's not, just use this little, you can't see that, use this little hand wheel over here and just manually turn it towards you, and it's gonna drop the needle down. So just make sure it's at its lowest point, because we're going to use that as a little pivot point. So once the needle's down, we can lift the presser foot, pivot the fabric, and then we'll drop the presser foot and keep sewing. Something else about the Quantum Stylist is it has this little lever thing here. So if you put it towards the left, it does like a slow sewing speed. So if you're going around something where you need to take a lot of time, like, you know, something intricate or like a little corner or something, you want to slow down. I'm pressing down all the way on the little foot pedal and it's going at an extra slow speed, and then I turn it all the way to the right and we have our extra fast speed. So that's really neat. Okay, we're about to get to a point where we need to pivot again. So I'm gonna get to that point. Make sure the needle is all the way down. Again, I could use this little hand lever and make sure it's down. And then we're just gonna lift the presser foot, pivot the fabric. I cannot tell you how many times you're gonna need to do that in sewing. Pivoting it's so fun too. It's just fun, you know? Okay, so keep going up, and I'm gonna end with a couple back stitches and cut my thread. And there we go. Oh wait, I forgot about we're also gonna do the inseam real quick. Okay, there we go. So we got our whole pant leg done. If you want to see it in action, we'll just flip it right side out. And this will be our left pant leg. Look at that, it's so cute, and it has a pocket. So obviously you're gonna wanna press that, make sure the pocket is all nice. And then the pocket is like the right side of the fabric. So, you know, when you look into the pocket, you don't see the wrong side. So that's just a little technical thing if you want to make it look extra professional. Okay, I'm going to quickly do the other one. Does anyone have any questions while I pin this together? Thank you, Kathleen. my machine snips the thread automatically. It does. That is something that was really important to me. When I picked a machine, the Quantum Stylist does have that, but some of the like mechanical sewing machines don't have that feature. So if that's something that's important to you, definitely look into the Quantum Stylist, because it's a really good function. But little fun facts: if you're trying to decide what sewing machine to get, if you go onto the Singer website, they have like this little feature called like machine picker or something like that. If you go to the machines tab, and it basically asks you like a set of questions, just like what types of things you typically sew, what features are most important to you, like do you sew more, clothing, or do you sew accessories, or whatever it may be. And then it will list out like the best machines that would fit your needs the best. So that's really fun. Would highly recommend doing that. How do you order this iron? On the Singer website. It's called a Singer Steamcraft iron, and it is incredible. It has a lot of different settings dependent on what fabric you're going to be working with and what temperature you need. And then you could obviously turn the steam on, you could turn it off. Like I said, it shuts off after 30 minutes if it's in an upright position, or it goes into like standby mode, I should say. So always good. Okay, so now I'm just pinning the other pant leg down. We're going to sew that, and then we will be ready to sew the center, the crotch seam. Kathleen was playing with those questions. It's fun, right? It's just like a little game. It asks you, it's like really intuitive, Okay, so I'm just going to do the inseam now, just pinning it down. Yeah, I'm obsessed. If anyone's just joined, the outfit that I'm using as inspiration is this little shorts and top outfit that I made the other day. And it is the cutest little summer outfit. I'm like obsessed with it. The top needs a little bit of work. So that's why we're not doing the top today, because I need to play with I drafted the pattern in like 10 minutes. And then I made it, and I was like, okay, it's not perfect. Not perfect, but it's a good start. Okay, I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine. We're going to go ahead and sew this. Does anyone have any questions so far? I love answering questions. Here we go. We're going to sew down the side seams and around the pockets. Drop the needle down, lift the presser foot, pivot the fabric, and sewing around curves can be a learning curve. Oh my gosh, what a pun. It's, it can be a learning curve, but you just take it slow, and practice obviously helps. And if you need to, you can always like shorten the length of your stitches too, if you're going around like a really, curved curve. Yeah, it might help to shorten the length of your stitches. Something else about the Quantum Stylist that is amazing, a really, really cool feature. If you notice, it has these little black, no wait, not those. Hold on. Okay, so if you click into these black boxes, so this is for the tension, and the 8 is like, it has a black box around it, and if I move up, it doesn't have a black box. If I move back down to an 8, it has a black box. So basically, the machine like sets all of these automatic settings based on whatever stitch you're using. So it automatically sets my length and my width just to like the standard length and width that most people would need if they were sewing a straight stitch. So right now it's at a 2.5 length and it's at a 3.5 width, and it's turning out perfect. So you can always change the settings just by scrolling up and down, but you know, I love a good, you know, skipping a step. It's always nice. All right, here we go. Okay, and that is done. So now we have both of our pant legs done. We can go ahead and connect them down the center, and then they will be a fully finished pair of shorts. So what I have to do that is I have my, what leg is this? My right leg, right side, inside out, and then I'm gonna put my left leg, hold on, what am I doing? Okay, I'm gonna put the left leg right side out. So basically we want them to be right sides together. So I'm just gonna put it inside the other pant leg, matching them up at the side seam and then matching them up at the inseam. We want them to be right sides together. So however you need to flip them so that they're right sides facing, then go ahead and do that. And obviously it's really important to match up the inseam, match up the side seams, just so those lines are perfect. And then I'm just gonna pin going all the way around. So I'm just gonna start in the center and pin going around. And this seam is gonna go down the center back and the center front. And then it will connect our shorts. And I'm going to show you how I serge this edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it first and then serge it. And this is like just a widely debated topic. Like, do I serge first or do I sew first? And honestly, I think it depends. I think if it's a seam that you want to lay flat, then I always serge first and then sew so that I can so that they're separated so that I can, you know, press those seams flat. But if it's a seam that's gonna just like flop to one side, kind of like the side seam of shorts or, you know, something like that, where you're gonna end up flopping that seam to one side, then I always sew and then serge. But one thing to note about a serger is it's gonna trim your seam allowance if the knife is engaged, which I'll show you in a second. But sergers, that's one really cool thing about a serger, is it has a blade on it. So basically when you're serging, it will trim off your seam allowance and encase the raw edge. So it's kind of just like a 2-for-1. But if you don't want to trim your seam allowance, you can always disengage the knife or the blade. So it's really helpful, you know, you have options. Okay, so I just pinned it going all the way around the crotch seam. And I'm gonna sew it, and then I'm gonna serge it. We're just rocking and rolling. My pins. Okay, again, I'm just sewing a straight stitch at 1/2 inch seam allowance. Starting and ending with a back stitch. And I'm sewing around a curve, so I always take it a little bit slower, just take my time. Slow and steady. And always like pull the other side of the fabric out to make sure you're not catching the wrong side of the fabric. That didn't make sense. Just make sure you're not sewing something under there that you're not supposed to sew, basically. Okay, I'm coming up along the back side. And I'm gonna end with some back stitches and cut my cut my thread. Okay, that was fun. Now, the big reveal. Let's see, so we just pull them apart and flip them right side out. And if all goes well, we should have some shorts. This is my favorite part of the sewing journey, guys, just seeing the finished product. I always get confused with the back side, so good thing I write that on there. Okay, this is the front. Look at this, we have some shorts. Oh my gosh, these are so cute. They have our pockets, everything is looking great. Look at this. This is the cutest little fabric too. Wow, I'm so happy with this. Okay, so basically all that's left now that we have our shorts is attaching the waistband, which basically you just fold it down and sew it on just like you would with a binding, any kind of binding. Just sew it down, and then hemming the bottom of the shorts. So I only have like a few minutes left, so I think I only have time for one of those things. So which one do you guys want to see? Do you want to see me hem the bottom with a blind hem, or do you want to see me attach the waistband? Which one? Which one? Blind hem or attaching the waistband? Waistband, Kathleen. Waistband? Okay. Okay, I'll do the waistband. It's really fun. I love attaching a waistband. Oh, wow. Okay, everyone wants to see the waistband. Okay, I'm gonna wake my iron up because we're gonna need to use this bad boy. Oh, someone wants the blind hem. I feel bad. Okay, I feel bad. I'm gonna do the waistband, but if anyone wants to know how to do a blind hem, Singer has some really, really great tutorials on YouTube. And I will say the Singer Quantum Stylist comes with, let's find it. Comes with a blind hem foot, which makes putting a blind hem on so much easier. I mean, I think it's pretty much the only way. Well, you could probably use a regular presser foot, but this makes it so much easier. Okay, so I'm gonna do the waistband. The crowd is voting for waistband, and then we will be done. So I have my shorts here, looking so cute. I have my waistband. These are basically to get the waistband measurement. All I did was measured my pattern pieces. So these are the pattern pieces I used to make my shorts. I wrote little notes on there. So I've measured the width of the front and the width of the back. Wait, no, sorry. Okay, sorry. Wait, I measured the width of the front times 2 minus whatever seam allowance that will be basically take into account seam allowance, and that's how you get the width of this. That probably didn't make any sense at all. Blind hem next time. Yes, I will do blind hem next time. So a really, really great tip for attaching a waistband, a sleeve cuff, any kind of like bias binding, use an iron. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I have my little iron here. So I'm gonna flip, hold on, let me think about this. Okay, so I have them wrong sides facing up. I'm gonna turn this side up by 1/2 inch because that's my seam allowance. I'm gonna press it all the way down. Use a little steam if you want. This is cotton, so we love the steam. And then I'm gonna fold the top edge down by 1/2 inch. Okay, now that that's done, I'm gonna fold the whole thing over. Hot dog style, if you learned that in school. Hot dog style, and I'm gonna press it in half. So this is gonna be the finished length of the waistband, if that makes sense. Mine is 2 inches plus like maybe 1/8 of an inch room because I'm gonna need to like fit the elastic in there. So just press it down. I'm gonna do the other one. So up by 1/2 inch or whatever your seam allowance is. I just love how easy it is to press cotton. This is not an ironing board cover. It comes with the table. So this is a Singer ironing board crafting station all in one, and it has a grid at the top with measurements. So it makes, measuring things so much easier, and it's scorch proof, so that's good if you're planning on burning things, which I probably would do that on accident. Okay, so then I'm folding it in half. And it's like automatically releasing just the perfect amount of steam, so I'm not using this steam button, but that would release a lot of steam if I really wanted it. So that prepped these enough. So actually I'm gonna just open it back up, and what we need to do is connect to the front and the back waistband at the sides. But one thing to note, very important thing to note, you wanna leave an opening so that we can later put the elastic in. So I'm gonna close one end, just fully, close this end, but then on the other side, on the other end, I'm gonna only sew like just past the folded line, and then this part will be open so that we can later use that to like finagle the elastic in. This is gonna really, really help. So I'm only sewing half of this side and then all of this side. So let's head on over here. We should be done in like 5 minutes. Who has been here this whole time? Thank you if you've been here this whole time. I'm just using my straight stitch again. 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm gonna sew down. Cutting my thread. Greatest One Collections. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Nope. No big deal. I did make a small mistake. Kathleen, you are an angel. I'm going to take this seam ripper that just came with, this sewing machine. I'm going to rip that seam out. I definitely just sewed these together, not right sides together. Wow. Wow. The student has become the teacher. Okay. Well, with that said, seam ripping is one of my favorite techniques in sewing because I make a lot of mistakes. All you gotta do is rip out some of the seams. I do like every 5 stitches, and then I flip it over and do like every other 5 stitches, and it should come out so easily. I cannot believe that almost happened. Okay. Well, it did happen. It didn't almost happen. That did happen. Could you imagine? Okay, here we go. Just like magic. This mistake, wait, almost. This mistake is not a mistake anymore. Look at that. It's like it never happened. Greatest One Collections on a flat lock stitch. I don't know if I have great advice for that. I'm gonna be honest. We might need to get back to you on that one. I don't know if I've ever done a flat lock stitch. Okay, so as Kathleen pointed out, we need to put these right sides together. Otherwise, we would have had a disaster on our hands. So we're just gonna pin those together. Hello from Indonesia. Wow, where is everyone else from? I love to know that. Okay, so I have this whole side pinned down and I have half of this side. Right sides together. Thank you, Kathleen. You have saved the day. And I'm just gonna sew that together. Okay, now our waistband is done and we can go ahead and connect it. So what I'm going to do is flip the shorts inside out. I prefer to attach it to the wrong side first and then fold it over to the right side, just so that the top stitch looks really nice, so, so I can have full control over what the front of the shorts will look like. So I have my shorts laid out. And I'm basically going to put this waistband, or put the shorts inside the waistband. And they are right sides, right side facing the wrong side of the shorts. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to match them up at the side seam. One moment, okay, back side. And I always like, this is just a minor detail, but I always like to face the pocket towards the front side of the shorts so that the seam is going that way, because that's the way that the pocket will naturally go. So I want my seams to lay flat going towards the front side of the shorts, if that makes sense. And I'm just going to match them up at the side seams. And I'm going to put a little pin there. Who else loves a seam ripper? If someone asked me what my favorite sewing tool is, I would say it's a seam ripper because I mess up all the time. But it's part of the fun. It's part of the learning experience too. I think that's mostly how I learned how to sew, was just, knowing my mistakes. Okay, also, remember how we left this little slit here? I want to make sure that's on the inside of the shorts. So wherever the slit is, we're going to attach that to the inside. Let's see. And I'm just pinning it all around the top. So shall you sew, so shall you rip. That is so true. I cannot tell you. I probably use a seam ripper every single time I sew. It's just inevitable, Okay, so now that we got this waistband pinned on, I'm just going to sew it down. Okay, we're gonna sew this all around. So again, 1/2 inch seam allowance all around the top. Is it worth it to buy a cover stitch Singer? I would say, are you referring to an overlock machine? I would say yes, but I would also say I think it's worth learning how to use just your sewing machine functions first as a beginner, just figuring out how to use it, you know, to do a zigzag stitch or an overcast seam first. And then once you get that down and you still want more professional looking results, then I would definitely recommend getting a serger, also known as an overlock machine. Okay, so I'm just sewing this waistband on all along the top. And once I get to my starting point, I'm just gonna end with another back stitch. Okay, and okay, our last step, guys. Hold on. Okay, so we're gonna flip the shorts right side out, and basically, since we did all that ironing beforehand and pressed, you know, the waistband in half, it should flop over. It should like fold over so neatly so that all you have to do is just top stitch this waistband down. And then you'll have a full-on waistband, and of course it'll have the little opening on the side to put the elastic through on the inside. There's our little opening. Real quick. Monograms and words. Yes. Okay, that Kathleen asking the great questions. Yes, this machine is amazing for that. It has, let me just show you real quick. It has all of these letters at the top here. And then all of these decorative stitches that you can choose from. And it also comes with a darning and embroidery foot, as well as a little thing called a drop feed lever. So you can like drop the feed dogs down so that you can just do free motion sewing, which is really, really fun for any type of embroidery or monograms. So we need to speed this up. I need to end this live in just a second, but I think you guys understand what I'm doing here. So basically I just folded this waistband down in half. And all I would do at this point is pin it all around and top stitch this down. And of course we pressed it beforehand, so it should lay down so nicely. But yeah, monograms and embroidery is definitely something that I want to do more of. I think it's so beautiful. And also just like free motion sewing just, you know, gives you a lot of freedom to be creative and do like different designs. So all I'm doing is pinning it down all around, and I'm going to top stitch that down. The other machine that I have that does free motion sewing is the heavy duty as well, and that has a drop feed lever, so it also has that function. And that one is not a computerized machine, it's just a little mechanical one, so always really a fun function. Okay, so I have this waistband all pinned down, and all I'm gonna do is just go along here, just right along the edge, and do a little top stitch. So for that, I'm gonna switch to this button here. That positions the needle to the left side, and that makes top stitching so much easier because it's really close to the edge. And I'm just gonna lay my shorts in there. And sew it down. And this gives you a little green light when the presser foot is down. It has a red light when the presser foot's up. So you always know when your presser foot is down. Because as we know, if you start sewing while the presser foot is up, you will end up with like a tangled mess, like a bird's nest of thread. So I just stitch really, really close to the edge here. And I'm using a thread that's almost identical, so that is always good for top stitching because this is a decorative stitch, but this is also functional. So you can basically apply the same exact technique if you're ever attaching a bias binding to a neckline or if you're doing a little sleeve cuff. Basically just that whole thing of pressing it down by 1/2 inch on each side and then pressing it in half will just really set you up for success. Oh. A mess of thread with needle placement. A mess of thread when you sew with the presser foot up. You always want to make sure the presser foot's down. But I will say, if you're getting a mess of thread, you can always look out for, is your tension set correctly? Is your needle dull? Because you should really be changing your needle after every 3 bobbins that you use. We are almost done. I'm almost to the end here. But yes, every 3 bobbins that you use, or I think every like 8 hours of sewing, you want to change your needle because that can cause some thread bunching up. Tension. Also, when you thread your machine, you always want to thread it with your presser foot up. That's just a little minor thing, but that way when you're threading your machine, the thread will slide in between the tension discs, and that will make a huge difference in it not getting jumbled. So I have just attached the waistband. We have our shorts. Basically, the only thing I would do now is put the elastic in, which will bunch it up a little bit and make it a little more fitted. And we have our pockets. The only thing I would do now is hem it, so you can really choose your hem on this. You could do a blind hem if you want it to be, if you don't want the hem to be visible. You could do a double fold hem, rolled hem, really whatever hem you want. So that's that. I always go so over on these lives. I'm so sorry, but thank you for watching. If you liked it, subscribe to the Singer YouTube. Make sure you're following Singer. And also, if you want to see a little tutorial on how I drafted this pattern and how I made this shirt as well as the shorts, they're the same exact shorts that we made today, follow my YouTube channel. I'm posting a video tomorrow, and you can see how I made this. And it's Jessica Shaw. So, thank you for watching. I love these shorts. So cute, so summery. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, we'll see you next time. I won't go over next time. Bye. How do I end this?